Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Is the opening up of vaccination to young people a bad decision? We have responses. At least one public health expert is calling for mandatory vaccination. Up first this afternoon, a raging debate about whether the government should have opened up vaccinations locally to people 18 years and over. Some public health experts insist that young people are more likely to contract the Delta variant, which is causing concerns across the world. But others say young people can wait. Sandy Williams has the details.
According to health officials, young people are more likely to be seriously affected by the COVID-19 Delta variant, which is more aggressive and much more transmissible than previously circulating strains. Data from the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, revealed that those between the ages of 18 and 49 represent the largest increase in COVID-19 cases due to the prevalence of the Delta variant. This, as up to July 24, the largest demographic hospitalized for COVID-19 in the United States were people aged 18 to 49. While Jamaica has recorded no cases of the Delta variant, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton on the weekend urged young people to take the vaccine. Associate Professor of Public Health Alvaston Bailey says opening COVID-19 vaccinations for persons 18 years and older is premature.
We have seen a desperate attempt on the part of the vulnerable and elderly in many instances to get vaccinated. Since vaccine availability, therefore, appears to be no longer an issue, we must adopt the WHO guideline and vaccinate those who are at highest risk and those who are most vulnerable.
But President of the Medical Association of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Manning, says young people should be considered part of the high-risk groups.
So that's something for the general public to consider. We really all do need to get vaccinated at this point. And I'd urge persons to take advantage of the vaccination blitz that's currently going on. They'll be able to give at least 150,000 more persons the first dose. So that would carry us closer towards where we need to be.
Several young people in the corporate area have joined the conversation, including 21-year-old Eric Dias and 24-year-old Anicia. While Anicia believes it is critical for everyone to be prioritized, Eric, on the other hand, believes it is not necessary.
Everybody should be included, whether old, young, everybody, because we're all human beings, we're all important.
Nah, so the old people first.
Old people first?
Yeah. Remember, we young.
But we easy to spread it too.
Yeah, but we can't do this. Why not this?
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
More cause this afternoon for mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations. Public health expert Dr. Winston Davidson says this is necessary to protect the population from the pandemic. He was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 today. The race to reach herd immunity in Jamaica is shaping up to be a bumpy one. This in light of concerns about vaccine hesitancy. In the United States, New York's Mayor Bill de Blasio has announced that persons will have to show proof of at least one dose of the vaccine before they are allowed to participate in most activities in the city. Dr. Winston Davidson believes if such a move is employed locally, Jamaicans would be less hesitant to take the jab.
Based on the public health problems that beset us in the world globally and the future problems that the world will experience, there is no question about it that all populations will have to look at how they protect their populations from pandemics.
Attorney at law Isaac Buchanan says the country's constitution does not support Dr. Davidson's suggestion.
I must say, on the point of law, that any discussion about things that happened in the 1970s has changed since 2011, where our charter says otherwise in terms of certain things that can be done. Now, I will say to the public that I believe wholeheartedly, and I'm an optimist, that there are less restrictive measures to get to that herd immunity.
36,000 Jamaicans have been inoculated at the island-wide vaccination blitz so far, down from an expected target of 150,000. In the meantime, Dr. Davidson remains adamant that stronger enforcement is needed to prevent a possible genocide.
If you want to have a Holocaust, then you pussyfoot around with people's lives and talk about rights. Rights are very, very important, but you have to interpret rights in the proper way. A person living on the moon by himself has absolute rights. A person living on the world with millions, 7 million people has no absolute rights.
With St. Anne seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases, the Northeast Regional Health Authority is taking no chances. Regional Technical Director for NERA, Dr. Patrick Wheatle, says preparation is now in high gear in case there's a spike. Shamela Pullen reports.
Between July 28 and August 2, the Northeast Regional Health Authority recorded 170 new COVID-19 cases. But of that number, 130 cases are from St. Anne alone. On Saturday, when the country recorded 342 cases, St. Anne had the fourth highest with 41 cases. Over the last few weeks, concerns have been raised in several quarters about the number of parties taking place in the parish. One of the most recent was an event at Pearly Beach with the police confirming some 700 persons in attendance. Regional Technical Director for NERA, Dr. Patrick Wheatle, says with a surge in COVID-19 cases on the horizon, the team is now trying to put things in place to manage what is to come.
We have 3 high dependency unit beds at the St. Anne's Bay Hospital. At this point in time, we have 2 of the 3 that are available. In terms of the isolation beds, we have a total number of 26. At the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, we have 5 available. For the Anota Bay Hospital, of the 10 beds that we have for isolation, we have 4 available. And for the Port Antonio Hospital, of the 10, we have 7 available. So across the region, we have actually 16 beds available to manage patients.
As it stands now, Dr. Wheatle says there is enough supplies of oxygen. But if COVID-19 cases get out of control, that could change.
To even put it further, we also expanded our capacity. I know down at the hospital, we had increased the number of, we had set up an oxygen bank, and within 3 of our 4 facilities, we increased the number of beds that are able to carry the oxygen. So we would have done enough at this point in time.
Meanwhile, Dr. Wheatle says the NERA team has been participating in several blitz activities in the 3 parishes, but the turnout has been very low. Dr. Wheatle is urging persons within the region to get vaccinated.
The vaccination that you take may not just be about you, but it also may be about your loved ones. A lot of times, the younger persons, for example, are the ones caring for the elderly, and they are the ones that are going out and coming into the homes with the COVID-19. And as a result of that, the impact on the home is going to be very significant.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
215 people have been hospitalized from the respiratory illness COVID-19. Of that number, 34 are critically ill. There are 4,968 active cases. Meanwhile, the country recorded 96 new cases from 1,182 samples. The overall case count is now 53,639. The positivity rate is now 13.5%. 4 new deaths were also recorded, pushing the death toll to 1,207. Meanwhile, with a further tightening of the COVID-19 protocols, the dream of a drive-in cinema in Denby Clarendon has been put on hold. Dwayne Anderson explains.
The drive-in cinema that should have been staged at the Denby Agricultural Showground in Clarendon Saturday evening had to be cancelled. Everall Morris is the Chief Executive Officer of NetMerge, the company behind the business venture. He said the revised curfew measures announced by the Prime Minister meant they could not go ahead.
8 p.m. is a cutoff, from what I understand. We have equipments that are night ready. We need dust to project and project properly so you could get crisp, clear images and a good experience. It's part of the experience we want to impart with the clients. Now, 8 p.m. is way short because the client has to go home and their safety is our safety as well.
The last real cinema experience that was available here in Clarendon was well over a decade ago when a cinema was located here on what is now Bargain Village. Residents, no doubt, would have welcomed the return of that cinematic experience.
The customers were really warming up to it. Everybody was anxious. They were enthusiastic. They were getting ready to exhale.
In addition to the entertainment value, the drive-in movies at the Denby Showground would have offered a medium and short-term solution to a facility that has been woefully underused over the years.
We haven't had anything solid, long-term, solid plans for Denby as yet. Things takes a while to go through, so we haven't had anything long-term, but it is the ideal location.
The businessman says he intends to go ahead with the drive-in cinema when things return to some level of normalcy in the future. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
It's time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News. Thanks for staying with us. Residents and motorists of Smithfield in St. Thomas are pleading to their political representative for urgent assistance to fix the road in their community. They claim the deteriorating condition of the road is threatening their lives. They fear the worst could happen if the road is not repaired soon.
Right here now, leading down to the riverside, there is a hole that is the taxi men, private men, trucks are dropping into it. So we're asking the relevant authorities to come now and assist us before we have a loss of life.
Dangerous way, I drive on the road, you see it? Dangerous. More time I have a job with brakes. Hard. Because you come back up on all that truck, not to mention if you come back up on another car, here they come. See one day I come right now, I'm on the right on the side, so where am I go? If you have a shift, shoot over the gully, I'm gone,
Yes, it's that dead, we are go dead up here. The truck man, them, everybody, them bust out the wall and none of them now fix it. And dead, we are go dead up here.
My man, truck tire bus in there, plus the CRV tire bus the week before last, and no compensation. No compensation, you understand me? So, James Robertson, come out and vote for you. So come out and do for the people, because when you want to vote, you're walking all in the kitchen.
We are asking for help. Please, relevant authorities, help us, please.
When contacted, Member of Parliament for Western St. Thomas, in which Smithfield falls, James Robertson, says he's aware of the matter and has made contact to the National Works Agency, NWA. Communications Manager at NWA, Stephen Shaw, says the problem is as a result of a failed culvert below the road surface. Mr. Shaw says the NWA is seeking funds to replace the culvert as soon as possible. A 65-year-old man has been charged with the murder of a Portland farmer. He has been identified as Jasper Jemison, otherwise called Soji. Jemison, who is also a farmer, has also been charged with arson. The police say Jemison was arrested the same day of the murder on July 22. According to residents, they saw fire coming from the farm of Cynthia Hines. A search of the property found the woman's body burnt out in a hut that was set ablaze. Her body also had chop wounds. She was 59 years old. The police say a court date is to be finalized. Residents of Aracabessa St. Mary are calling for the authorities to improve garbage collection in their community. They say garbage pileup is creating a stench and unsightly view. Cody and Barrett reports.
You can't go on suffer too much time, man. Stink bad, man.
Living with garbage right under their noses. This is the situation in several areas in Aracabessa St. Mary. Residents are tired of having to coexist with massive piles of garbage in their surroundings.
Sometimes all too cheap before truck come. Smell bad, man. Yeah, man, and after the garbage, everybody empty there. People find this or come and empty this. So if you more take care of them, man. If you send truck all every week, we go empty the garbage, man.
Oh, Lord, it's very awful. I don't live down here. When I pass down here, it's a terrible sight. Because my friend will come look fun. I will just sitting out here so now I relax. And then the place is a terrible sight, man. They need to come more often.
We were told that garbage was collected in the area a few days before we arrived, and already these scenes in some areas. One resident says it will look much worse pretty soon.
You come when it look good then now.
And look so bad?
All right, may I tell you. But it's very pretty there now.
It's still good now.
Still nice.
It's still nice now.
And the truth, may I tell you, you don't see nothing, you see something very neat.
And at least one resident says it does not matter whether the area is cleaned regularly. The garbage site needs to be relocated.
You don't need it here. You need it down there. You need it down on the bank down there. You don't need it here. Because everybody bungle up here. This is a farm of germs. Water there, nobody move it. So whatever time, sometimes it get very stink. So sometimes nobody cannot stay here. So you don't really need it here.
Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
And for the latest in the world of business, here's the Business Minute.
In the world of business, Jamaica now has more ABMs and point-of-sale machines. 791 commercial bank ABMs and 45,000 point-of-sale systems were operational across the island as at December last year. Compared to 2019, this represented increases of 4.8% and 12.4% respectively. Grace Kennedy has completed its acquisition of Scotia Insurance Eastern Caribbean. Grace Kennedy announced on Tuesday that the insurance company is to be rebranded as Grace Kennedy Life Insurance Eastern Caribbean. GK Life will continue to offer credit protection on personal loans, residential mortgages, personal lines of credit, and other products in the 7 Eastern Caribbean countries in which Scotia Insurance operated. First Rock Capital Holdings recorded a dip in profit for the January to June period. Net profit amounted to $1.2 million, down from $1.22 million during the same period in 2020. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
Coming up in this evening's health report, we'll look at the coronavirus Delta variant.
So the Delta variant is a mutation or a change from the original virus. Normally, viruses over time, as they are transmitted from person to person, they develop more resilience and they change their form so that they may be transmitted easier, more infective, or they can change so that they cause more severe illness.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip.
Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Wear a mask when physical distancing is not possible. Stay home if you feel unwell. And if you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention.
And now for the top regional and international stories, here's O'Shane Masters.
In news from the region, the opposition Democratic Labour Party DLP in Barbados is warning the Mia Amor Motley administration about its plan to become a republic without consulting the people. The Barbados Prime Minister recently declared that by November they would become a republic. President of the DLP, Verla de Pesa, says the people demand to be consulted. She said a conversation must be held about the fundamental changes that must be made in order to cement a republic for the island. On the international scene, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Delta variant accounts for more than 93% of new cases reported during the last 2 weeks of July. In parts of the Midwest and Great Plains states, that number is even higher at more than 98%. At the end of May, Delta only caused about 3% of new COVID infections. At that time, another variant first identified in the UK, the Alpha, was dominant in the United States, causing 69% of new cases. Now the CDC says it's responsible for fewer than 3% of them. And that's your midday roundup. I'm O'Shane Masters.
We head now to a quick break. When we return, we'll have your midday sports report. Simon Preston is standing by.
And finally, this afternoon, Reggae Boys forward Leon Bailey says he's not concerned by the physical demands of the English game. Bailey signed a 5-year deal with Premier League club Aston Villa on Tuesday, and he says he's prepared for the next chapter of his career.
Play on my mind, I've always been a player who is very dominant, regardless of my opponent. That's how I was built. That's how Phoenix built all the young players. So we have no fear, regardless. We've been playing against older people since we were very young. So we're grown to be fearless. So I don't have that on my mind. Only thing that's on my mind is that I'm going there to destroy and continue waving the flag high.
Bailey will be eligible for selection for Aston Villa's first game of the season on August 14 against Watford. And that is it for your Midday Sports Report. I'm Simon Preston. Anthony, it's over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.